I wake up alone. Even if she's recovered, Saber still needs to sleep on occasion. The moment we return to our rooms, Saber immediately falls asleep. I went to bed as well, if only to make her feel better. That was about an hour ago. It's past midnight. I should be able to get out of the house without Saber or Tasaka noticing at this hour. I'm so gonna get ambushed. Yeah, one thing I've noticed, like, we haven't seen anything from Sakura in a very long time. She's, like, important in the beginning of the game. I bet, like, I guess we probably won't. I bet she's probably more important in a different route is what's going on with that. Because, like, she was a pretty major character in the early parts, and then she just kind of disappeared from the whole plot, so... There's probably a plot... she's probably more relevant on a different route, I'd imagine. Anyways, I sneak outside, trying not to make a sound. I thought of using the bike, but I'd just run the risk of waking them up. So I walk, because bikes are notoriously extremely noisy. There's not a single person outside. It's late, but the silence is still eerie. The air is frozen, and there doesn't seem to be any sign of life in the buildings. On the other hand, it feels like something dark and sinister is swirling at my feet. Did something happen to the town where Ilya had me prisoner? Or while Ilya had me prisoner? It's like a bad omen hangs over the entire place. This isn't my imagination. I look up toward the mountain in the distance. Rudu Temple, which stands a distance away from town, only looks like a black lump from here. But that... it looks like it's swaying in the night air, rumbling and throbbing. I cross the dark river and walk into Shinto. Huh. So it's been 10 days. On that day, the night I met Saber for the first time and then walked across this bridge with Tasaka seems so long ago. I see the church. I've never been here before. I may have said as much to Tasaka, but I did have a connection with that church. If things had gone differently, I would have ended up under the care of the church, and then been adopted by some family later on. It would have been either the Emiya family or that church. One hell of a fork in the road. 10 years ago. All the kids in that hospital were orphans. The church took them all in, at least temporarily. I was the only one in that group of orphans to be adopted from the hospital. That's probably why I've been unconsciously avoiding the church out of guilt. It's also why 11 days ago I told Tasaka it was my first time going to the church. The lights inside the church are on. I don't really like that priest, but there are things I need to ask him. Okay, let's go. I take a deep breath and put my hand on the heavy church doors. Father Kotomine, are you here? I step inside as I call out for him. There's nobody in the chapel. The lights are on, but this vast space is so quiet I find myself more nervous than if it were dark. Hey, is anyone here? There's no reply. I can't keep going in further, so I might have to give up tonight. I whirl around when I hear a sound from behind me. Tsurumiya, what brings you here at this hour? The suddenness of his appearance leaves me speechless. It is the dead of night. I'd hoped to go to sleep, but the look on your face tells me you want to pretend to perform some sort of penance, Shirumiya. Kotomine sounds bored and turns back to the door he came through. Oh, hold on. I came here to ask you something. I know that. I do not intend to turn anyone away, no matter how odd an hour they choose to arrive. As Kotomene says so, he opens the door to the back of the church. Follow me. I'm sure you are here to talk about the Holy Grail more. I cannot allow such bloody talk here. Kotomene doesn't bother asking my opinion, he just disappears into the back of the church. Okay. I've come this far, I can't go home empty-handed. I steel myself, determined not to let Kotomene intimidate me this time, and head towards the back of the church. Oh, this is a nice place. Oh, the outside's impressive, but the inside is pretty intricate too. There's actually a courtyard. The garden and the passageways are too magnificent for Kotomene to live here alone. What are you doing? If you want to talk, come with me. The priest disappears around yet another corner. Damn, he's not waiting for me. I complain to myself as I chase after Kotomene. The church is a small labyrinth, so I don't have any choice but to follow Kotomene. We enter a modest stone chamber. This simple room, far from the elegance of that chapel and courtyard, must be thought of Kotomene's private room. Please forgive my inability to offer you anything in the way of hospitality. The priest makes his apology as he plops down onto a sofa. I smell the faint aroma of what might be wine. For the smell to linger in this room, he must really like wine. What is wrong? I thought you came here to talk. If you're going to just stand there like a fool, I'm going to be very annoyed. Nobody's standing around like a fool. I was just looking around because this room seemed weird. I'm going to go home as soon as I finish my business here. That is a relief. I have no time to chat with children. I ask that you be brief. This priest really gets on my nerves. I feel like he's reading my mind, and whenever I try to deal with him directly, I just get intimidated. So, what is it that you want to talk about, Shiromiya? I thought I already told you everything I could. Don't lie. You knew all along. You knew my old man was Saber's master, and that the Holy Grail was destroyed. You're the overseer here to manage the Holy Grail, so you can't not know. Ooh. Did Saber tell you herself? Yeah, I heard that's how the last Holy Grail war ended. The priest falls silent, contemplating something. It is unusual for a servant to retain memories from previous summons. Either Saber's defective, or there's something unusual about her. Either way, I cannot say she is a normal servant. Heroic spirits do not retain their memories. Yeah, we know this. We've gone over this before. Alright, get to the good stuff. As they're summoned in the past, present, and future, their reshaping memories of these summonings would create contradictions. They instead have memories only from their lives. Any memories made after their death once they've become heroic spirits should not remain with them. He ponders this as if he still isn't convinced. I get it. Kotomene doesn't know Saber hasn't fully become a heroic spirit, so he can't truly understand the situation. That's not what's going on. Saber's circumstances are different from other servants. Different circumstances. I see, so this must be why you visited me. Very well, tell me. His haughty attitude pisses me off, but I don't have time to deal with that too. I don't like it, but this man might be able to give me a clear explanation. It seems Saber isn't dead yet. Her contract to become a heroic spirit isn't complete. It appears she wished for the Holy Grail just as she was dying, and she agreed to become a heroic spirit as the price of obtaining it. So, see, she's not completely dead. She's only mostly dead. She won't die until she obtains the Holy Grail, and that's when she'll become a servant in the normal sense. not dead. Then Saber must still be in the cycle of reincarnation. Are you saying she is not removed from the flow of time like other heroic spirits? I'm not quite sure how to answer that. Yeah, I think that's what it means. Just like I said, Saber's basically been carved out of time. I see. So rather than disappearing after her is finished like typical heroic spirits, she will be summoned as a heroic spirit again and 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 again until she obtains the Holy Grail. Sorry for the repetition there, I just thought it would be useful to illustrate the point and the gravity of the situation. But since she has yet to obtain the Holy Grail, whenever her attempt to gain one fails, she is sent back to the moment of her death. And now she has been summoned for this war and retains her memories from the last. I really can't say I understand heroes who go out of their way to seek the Holy Grail only to die. But once she obtains it, the only fate awaiting her is being used by others as a servant. Right, even if she gets the Holy Grail and has her wish granted, she'll just become another servant. Again. I don't like that. Besides, what are servants? You say you use heroic spirits like familiars, but are there contradictory heroic spirits like Saber? Who knows? I don't know a great deal about how that part of the system works. The permanence of the soul, the servant system, was created to imitate that sacred method. Only those who established the system would know more. The permanence of the soul? Well, I'm only speaking of how it was in the past. It really doesn't matter anymore. Forget it. You can't just drop the permanence of soul and forget about it. Jeez. So, Shiromia, bottom line, do you not want your Saber to be a servant any longer, correct? Is that what I want? I do think Saber's situation is messed up. Aiming for the Holy Grail is all well and good, but afterwards, the only thing waiting for her is her disappearance. Even if someone other than King Arthur is chosen as king, and when King Arthur ceases to exist in our history, the hero King Arthur will continue to be used by who knows how many others. That seems wrong to me. So if she can stop being a servant and just live a normal life, that is impossible. The dead cannot come back to life. It does not matter if she is frozen in time. To us, Saber has already died. The power of the Holy Grail is what summoned her here. It is what keeps her here, and this is possible because she agreed to the conditions of becoming a heroic spirit. If she does not seek the Holy Grail, she will not be summoned as a servant, but as long as she continues to seek it, no matter how long it takes, she will eventually become a complete servant. Even if she fails this time, she will have infinite other chances. Saber is frozen in time, so she cannot attempt 2 Holy Grail wars simultaneously, and she cannot re-attempt a trial once failed. If she failed a trial once, she will fail again no matter how many times she tries. She has already experienced it, and so the results cannot be changed. Okay. It's likely only a matter of time before she obtains the Holy Grail. This Holy Grail war is not the only chance she has of doing so. There are trials to obtain the Holy Grail in every era. If she fights in every war, she will eventually obtain the Holy Grail. After all, she is being summoned as a heroic spirit because she's under the belief that she'll obtain the Holy Grail. Under the belief that it won't she? From the moment she came before you as a servant, the option of making her stop being a servant was non-existent. I knew it. As long as Saber seeks the Holy Grail, there's no way she can avoid becoming a servant. She will stay like this forever unless she decides to use the Holy Grail for herself. Even if this Holy Grail war ends, then there's no need to fight anymore. if she doesn't obtain the Holy Grail, she just has to try again next time. When she obtains it, she turns into the so-called heroic spirit and is sent all across time. So whether she obtains the Holy Grail or not, she'll remain a servant forever. Well, not necessarily. If the Holy Grail is truly omnipotent, it may be able to save Saber. Like, I guess one thing, because, yeah, this is always a tough thing with regards to wishes, like, how many clauses can my wish have, right? Like, could we theoretically wish for, like, you know, Britain to be saved, but then also for Saber to, you know, live a nice life? Right? Is the ant also allowed, or does it have to be, like, one thing? But even if it has to be one thing, like, that is its own sort of can of worms, right? Because, like, if I wish for, like, just generally good health for the rest of my days, that's one wish. I don't think anyone would say that that counts as, like, a combined wish. But it is technically more things than if, say, I just wished for, like, hey, I would like my heart, specifically, to be healthy for the rest of my days. So, like, you know, what is a thing? What is a wish? Like, how far down do you break it down before, or how encompassing can a wish be before it becomes, practically speaking, multiple wishes? I don't know. You can only wish for something you can imagine? Well, I can imagine a whole heck of a lot. But you just said that it was impossible. Look, omnipotence is pretty powerful. Correct, there is no way to stop Saber from being a servant. But what you desire is for her to remain in this world, yes? It is not so difficult. A servant can remain here, human, once the Holy Grail War ends. Though once she dies, she will return to where she was just before she died. How do I do that? Heroic spirits and servants are similar, but there are differences. Normally, heroic spirits are not summoned with a will of their own. They are simply summoned as a tool to fulfill specific goals, after which they disappear. But servants are different. They are the original body that was summoned by the Holy Grail. As such, they can live human lives just by remaining in this world. Can you do something like that? Saber said the Holy Grail disappeared the moment it was destroyed last time. Without the Holy Grail, I thought servants can't stay. Of course they could not. The Holy Grail is what summons servants, and it's the Master's role to maintain them following the summoning. That, however, is also only possible because the Holy Grail is aiding the Master. Typically, a single mage cannot produce enough magical energy to maintain the servant. Without an incredible source of magical energy like the Holy Grail, servants will disappear. I figured. Then... well, if there is a shortfall, one only needs compensate for it. That is all supplying magical energy to servants is. Their natural tendency is to consume souls. If their existence starts to fade, they simply can replenish themselves with more souls. That doesn't seem like the sort of life Saber would want. Ugh. Is he telling me to attack random people like Shinji did? The hell, I can't let her do that! Anyway, Saber wouldn't want to remain here if that's what she had to do it. Is that so? Then you would have to use the contents of the Holy Grail. It's quite simple. If you truly want Saber to live as a human, have a drink from the Holy Grail. He must have anticipated my resistance. What would that do? The look on his face tells me that this is the conclusion he wanted me to reach this whole time. Are you telling me to grant my wish using the Holy Grail? No, this has nothing to do with your wish. I'm talking about the contents of the Holy Grail. Did Rin not tell you? Servants are able to start a second life in this world by drinking the water of the Holy Grail. Though this method only establishes their position as a familiar in this age, their physical body remains that of a servant, and they would remain in this world only for so long as their master lives. What, red flags? Nonsense. What are you saying? You saying this guy is clearly gonna be like the master of Goldie and I'm about to be harvested for my souls? Psh, nonsense. Nonsense. But that means that's no solution. Even if she were able to stay in this world, it would be pointless if she's still a servant. She wouldn't be able to exist without magical energy from her master. And even if she managed to live in this world for a long time, she'd just go back to that hill after her death. Saber would never agree to such a thing. She doesn't care about a second life. She insists she's going to use the Holy Grail for something else. But then again, does the Holy Grail, the key to all of this, even still exist in this world? I've heard enough. Basically, you're telling me to get the Holy Grail, but does the Holy Grail even exist? If my old man destroyed it, wouldn't it... Wouldn't it what? If the Holy Grail doesn't exist, then there's no reason to fight. This ridiculous fight to the death is pointless. There is no reason to fight, you say? Why bring that up now? You never had a reason to fight in the first place. He says that. And time seems to just stop. There's no reason to fight. He told me that before. I'd just become a master and I didn't have much of a reason to fight. So at the time, what he said didn't sink in. I just ignored him, thinking he was being sarcastic. But what about now? There's a reason for me to fight. If there's a Holy Grail, I want to end this war, and if it's possible, I want to give the Grail to Saber. There is a reason for me to fight. And a perfectly good one at that. But why? Why do those simple words make me shake so much? I feel like I'm about to vomit up everything I've held in for so long. Let's leave that aside for now. This is not the time to open old wounds. A voice shatters the stillness that had locked up my thoughts. It's the voice of a man I don't want to hear. But that voice at least settles the wave of nausea I feel creeping up on me. The Holy Grail is here. The Holy Grail is only a receptacle anyway. Once it is gone, someone else will prepare another Holy Grail. Huh? Someone will prepare another one? Is a Holy Grail easy to make? Speaking only of the vessel, yes. Of course it requires a certain amount of skill, but without that skill the Holy Grail War would not be possible in the first place. The Holy Grail is not a cup that received the blood of God. It is based on a magical pot passed down from ancient times. If you are a mage, you should know about it. Utopia. The word is Greek and refers to a place that cannot be found or reached. It was said that an omnipotent pot that would grant any wish existed in such a place. And there were mages who tried to reproduce this omnipotent pot, which became the foundation for most mythology. There were three families: Ainsburn, Makiri, and Tosaka. They spent many generations searching for the rituals to reproduce the omnipotent pot. 200 years ago, they managed to complete it. That was the first Holy Grail War, the ritual that attempted to open up a path by calling forth the omnipotent pot that was nothing more than an artificial Holy Grail. Ainsburn? Is that Ilya's family? Wait, so it is actually hers. Like her family does actually have a claim to it. Correct. The Ainsburns were able to use the Rheingold. Their ability to replicate the Holy Grail was unparalleled. Rheingold is in the river? The Rhine? I guess she is from Germany. but that alone cannot summon the Holy Grail. It also requires suitable land and a powerful spell. These the Tosakas and Makiris provided. At the time, the Church and the Mages Association were in the middle of a war. 200 years ago? That's too late for 30 Years' War. So, we're talking early 1800s? And there's a lot of wars that were going on in late 17, early 1800s. As such, a land in the Far East, where the church held no sway, seemed ideal for the ritual. Napoleon, that's what you slapped out in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars, I think. Actually, come to think of it. The Ainsburns must have anticipated something like this might happen, and invited the Tosaka clan to join forces. The Tosaka clan was the owner of the spiritual land in this area, and the master was a skilled necromancer. Without the Tosakas summoning the Holy Grail would likely have been impossible for the Ainsburns. Of course, the two families betrayed each other. Thinking the situation should be a system of checks and balances, the Tosakas brought in the Makiri family. The Makiris are a family with substantial history. They were exceptionally skilled with handling familiars. The Makiris were the ones who came up with the idea of command spells to bind the servants. So this is all just some, like, contrived invention from, like, 200 years ago. It's not some, like, supernatural, crazy ritual thing that's existed since time immemorial. Huh. Unless the three worked together to summon the Holy Grail. But the moment they succeeded, a fight to the death broke out. The first summoning the Holy Grail ended while the families were busy fighting each other. As time went on, they set down rules and called it a Holy Grail War, and eventually returned to working together, on the surface anyway. The Tosakas provide the land and the system to model the servants, and the Makiris provide the command spells to bind the servants. And the Ainsburns provided the vessel for the Holy Grail to inhabit. That was the nature of their cooperation. I'm not sure what's so amusing about this, but the priest seems to enjoy telling me about it. But I see. They say the Holy Grail War is a ritual. I know Ilya and Tosaka's families were the ones who created the whole thing. The Ainsburns prepare the Holy Grail. As Kiritsugu betrayed them last time, they have put their greatest trump card into play. Which is to say, the Ainsburn girl probably holds the Holy Grail. What? Huh? Ilya holds the Holy Grail. Oh, there. Are you saying she possesses it? Or are you saying... Did anyone ever say the Grail had to take the form of a cup? That's weird. I don't think I saw anything among her belongings that looked like the Holy Grail. Are you satisfied? I do not know what you are agonizing over. The Holy Grail is your only solution. Now that you understand that, go home. The battle is not over. For you to walk about without Saber at your side is simply insane. That's none of your business. I'm aware Lancer's Master's still around. Hold on. There's one more thing I need to ask. Kotomine, servants disappear once the Holy Grail disappears. That's what you said, right? I did. Do you take issue with that? Yeah, big time. I know who it was, but there was an 8th servant. According to Saber, he's been in this world since the previous war. What? I can see he's shocked. Kotomine's eyes go wide. What's going on, Kotomine? I came here thinking you might know something about this. There's a servant who didn't disappear, you say. It's not so strange. The previous war ended with Saber destroying the Holy Grail. So there is one servant who remained apart from Saber. Saber disappeared on her own, but if this servant desired to remain in the world, the answer is simple. They must have supplemented magical energy by feeding on souls to stay alive these past 10 years. How many souls would that have to be, though? How'd no one notice? That's impossible. The servant was frighteningly powerful. If someone like that hung around for 10 years, someone like you or my old man would have detected them. I'm well aware. Someone was likely hiding them. Either the master or what? A mage who knew about the Holy Grail War but did not become a master. I know of one person, but it is not possible. Old man Makiri has long since retired. Kotomina must be satisfied as he gets up from the sofa. This is the end of our conversation. After learning what I just have, I cannot simply dismiss this matter, given my role as overseer. I shall investigate the servant. You should concentrate on your battle against the remaining Lancer. Kotomina heads to the exit, indicating there is nothing else to discuss. There's definitely nothing more to be gained by staying. I follow Kotomina out of the dark stone room. From there, he leads me to the entrance in silence. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, that maybe Ilya is the Holy Grail. It would kind of make sense to an extent, like, I don't know. She does have those weird symbols that, like, appear all over her body whenever she does magic. I'm not sure if that's Grail related or not. That could be something completely different, but I think it makes sense. I leave the church. And behind me, Saber will die when she obtains the Holy Grail. I do hope you understand what that means, Sir Emiya. The priest puts that to me, maybe to make certain I remember. He watches me from the door with a condescending twist to his lips. Saber will die if she obtains the Holy Grail. I don't need anyone to remind me of that. Saber's goal is to obtain the Holy Grail only, but she doesn't want its power for herself. As long as she obtains the Holy Grail, nothing will bind Saber anymore. She'll be freed from going back to the point right before her death, and she will truly die. Why the sudden change of heart? You're not one to give warnings like that. Oh, I'm just happy to see you supporting Saber. Think of this as a kindness. And when Saber obtains the Holy Grail, she will disappear. My advice to you is, if you wish to be with her, you should give up the Holy Grail. But if we don't get the Grail, then she's just gonna fade away and then be drafted into the next war, right? That doesn't make sense. I can't keep Saber here without the Holy Grail. You do not need to rely on the Holy Grail. It is the same for that other servant we spoke of earlier. If you want Saber to stay, then all you need to do is feed her souls. She would choose to disappear if that were the alternative. She will disappear. And she'll have to do another Holy Grail war all over again later. You just need to keep one command spell. That way your wish will be granted. Shut up! Kotomina's words are poison. I can't get rid of them. In a rage, I smash my fist against the nearby rail, desperately hoping to clear my mind. I hear an echoing metallic clang. There's no other sound. Not so much as a car or another person passing by. Damn, why am I getting all worked up? I lean against the rail, grumbling to myself. I know I should just ignore Kotomina. But there's just some sort of power to his words. I can't ignore them. What am I to do? And what am I fighting for? In the beginning, it was stopping the Holy Grail War. When did that become secondary? Did it happen when I started to stubbornly fight on my own? Did it happen when I realized how helpless I am and started to cooperate with Saber? Or did it happen when I made a sword for her? After our souls entwined that night in the ruins? No, that's all nonsense. I don't need to think about it. Since the beginning. My mind's been made up since I met her in the shed. The sight of her illuminated by the moonlight. That would have been fine. Had I not shared that dream of her past, and so not known any better, it would have been over without me even noticing. But I did find out. I knew I couldn't leave her alone. I started to hope I could somehow not lose her. I wish to stay this way. I want to keep seeing her smile. Ow. The image of the girl watching the sunset alone on that hill, strewn with swords. My chest hurts whenever I think of that scene. She never took any time for herself. That always bothered me. Kirtsu always said not to make a girl cry. I much prefer her smiling face to her tears. That's why I was so angry Saber never smiled. But then when I told her to smile, she always replied that she would rather see me smile. It's like looking at an unreachable star through a telescope. Damn. I look up at the night sky. I stare up at the star I could never reach. A trickle. I don't know how it formed. Lost Twitch? What? That doesn't seem good. You sure about that? Yeah, it looks like it's still working on my end, I think. Let's take a look at this. It's unstable. Yeah, still looks like it's fine to me. Though I'm gonna have to end soon, I think. I think I've got a storm coming, which might interrupt things. But this day is probably almost over, so let's get to the end of this day. Yes, I don't know how it formed, but I feel a tear slant down my cheek. I love her. I say it to nobody. As dense as I may be, I have to at least admit how I feel. I can't stop this feeling anymore. I realize I've fallen in love with her. So much so that thinking about her can bring me to tears. Welcome home. You were out late. Sorry? I hear Tasaka's voice as I arrive. She's standing at the entrance. Tasaka, why are you? This is not the place to talk. You look exhausted. Come, follow me. She grabs my hand and, without waiting for me to reply, drags me down the hall. And she brings me to her room. Here, tea. It must have been cold out there. She's awkward about it, but she's being considerate. Yeah, thanks. Honestly, the hot tea is comforting. It took me a good hour to walk home from the neighboring town. I walked slowly, so I was cold to the bone. So, you went to Kirei's place? As usual, she doesn't beat around the bush. I get it. Tasaka must have known what I was going to do from the very beginning. But she didn't stop me. She just waited for me to come home, and now she's even made me tea. I feel like a new man now that my mind is made up, and I appreciate Tasaka's thoughtfulness. Which is probably why I say... Yeah, I went. There's something I wanted to ask him about. I don't hide anything. I'm honest with her. I see. They don't ask for details. You're okay with that too, right? Yeah, it wasn't a fruitful conversation anyway. I just wanted to check with him about the current situation. I see. But I'm honestly surprised that Saber isn't a full servant. The strongest of all servants being the most incomplete is a bad joke. Yeah, and Saber didn't have to end up as a servant. She nods in agreement. This is funny. You and Archer might have gotten along under different circumstances. He did the same thing you did earlier. Yeah, Archer? You mean your Archer? Yep, Archer once said that he regretted his own actions, so he didn't want Saber to make the same mistake. Huh? Why would he be worried about Saber? I thought he hated Saber. Yeah, but maybe I had some kind of connection with her. First time he fought Saber, he was obviously going easy on her. I thought it was weird from the very beginning. Oh, really? But Saber said she didn't recognize Archer. Really? But Saber was a king, right? Well, being king doesn't mean you recognize literally every person in the world. She might have not known every single citizen in her country. She could have forgotten about them too. Are you saying Archer in his life was a citizen? Was a subject of Saber? What? You know, if you go that route, the possibilities are endless. If you can't remember someone's face, that's as good as you not knowing them. That's not necessarily true. According to legend, there were many knights that were unfortunately driven out of Camelot. He might have been one of them. If so, he might have been trying to hide his identity. Not from me, but from Saber. Tasaka's unusually chatty tonight. It's probably her way of trying to be considerate. Maybe not particularly effective, but Tasaka's a good person. She's usually pretty relentless, but she still lends a helping hand. She's got a kind of a big sister thing going on. We drink tea for a few more minutes. Tasaka turns and looks straight at me. Guess she's run out of patience. So, what do you want to do, Shiro? I'm going to take her on a date tomorrow. I can't think of anything else. It's a spur-of-the-moment idea I came up with on my way back home. But then... I don't know where the somber mood from earlier went, because Tasaka makes the most bizarre face. What? She's not that far out of my league, come on! She burst out into uncontrollable laughter. Stream froze again? I don't know what's going on with that. I think YouTube's still fine. Huh. Weird. Let's see if I can troubleshoot that at all. Where's the internet? Yeah, I don't know. Guess we're finishing this on YouTube exclusively, because I don't know what's going on with Twitch. It's probably only a few more minutes. Okay, note to self, use the Twitch VOD for the, or not, use the YouTube VOD for re-editing, not the Twitch VOD. Alright. Hold on, wait. I wasn't ready to hear this. That's unbelievable. It's so selfish of you, Shiro. Damn, I'm so dumb. I should have seen this coming. Shut up! What's wrong with me being selfish? I know this is not the time for it, but I'm not going to let you get in our way. Oh, no, Shiro. Just so funny. Tosaka slaps my back hard. She holds her stomach with her other hand. Laughing so hard, now she's nearly in tears. I think this is the worst she's ever treated me. I haven't laughed this hard in a long time. Well, I'm happy for you. None of that was funny to me, but you know, glad that you got some more laughter in your life. Well, good luck with your dates. I'm rooting for you two. Just like I says that kindly, doing a complete about face from a second ago. Yeah, I'll try my best. Honestly, that came out of left field. When she says it like that, all I can do is nod. I go back to my room. Saber's still asleep, and the house is peaceful, as if there is nothing happening. I wonder what the odds are that we get attacked on our date. It rained today, but what about tomorrow? I look up at the clouds slowly passing overhead. Unlike me, as it is, I pray for a sunny day tomorrow.